How has your understanding of mental health changed since you started the fellowship?
I'm thinking of what they teach in masters usually, like problematic DSM language, and I think that has changed. Yeah, more of okay, like what is it that people are responding to in the systems that they are located in, that's coming out as distress, and what is that telling about the system then, the context in which they are placed then. Yeah, not as a okay mental health issue in the person, but as okay, what is the person's distress telling us about what needs to change around them.
When you say problematic DSM language, what do you mean?
A person is being a burden to the people around them. There's like dysregulation.
I think for me, like while Nitya was talking, I was also reminded of how it looks like in the hospitals. Like how psychiatry also looks at individuals in a very pathological way, where the person is the problem, and how they don't have agency to access otherwise. But here in the training, it is also like through the DSM also, we are unpacking and trying to deconstruct that language of how it's perceived from the behaviors, the emotions, how the outside, the caregivers, the people who are providing care, it can be the doctors, the therapists, are looking at the persons receiving care. But here we're trying to also look at what is the actual lived experience, what is it looking like for them. So yeah, the agency of the person and how are they looking at, or how are they experiencing what is going around with them, and what is the context of where they're coming from is also being centered.
I think part of what's also registering as problematic is the idea that a lot of DSM language and typical psychotherapy and mental health language seems to be around how to make a person the perfect version of themselves. This sense of like always regulated, always like saying the right things, doing the right things, making everybody around them happy with who they are. And to me now, mental health is really just about the relationship that you have with yourself. Less about presenting as this perfect person, because like what Nitya said, there is no perfect person because systems are constantly demanding so much from us. And there's no, no matter what you do as a person, there will be a system questioning it. There will be a system saying that there are ways to do this better. So right now, like something I even say to clients and think for myself is, regulation is not just like one state you can always be in, and it's the most human thing to go up and down in that process. Really, it's the relationship you have with yourself that you come back to.
When I think about the DSM and the problematic language, I also think of how there's a very computational symptoms and very microscopic ways of looking at people's behaviors that gets put into categories, and it ends up becoming a very definitive way in which people's experiences are looked at, and the labels of disorders and the language there, and with that pathologizing microscopic lens, it narrows in on people's responses as symptoms while not really contextualizing what's happening around these people that's leading to these responses from the body. And when I think of how the fellowship has shifted that understanding, it's given a deep dive into the history of this computational perspective, where the DSM comes from, how come certain responses get looked at as pathology versus, like others also said, the systems that are causing these as responses. So the fellowship has expanded that lens from not just a microscopic view of people's behaviors, but zooming out into where are these people located, what are their identity locations. So I think that's what the fellowship has offered, that zooming out lens.
Yeah, I think that way my idea of mental health became a lot more like expansive than, okay, like what's happening inside the body, what is your problem. It became very interconnected to the things that are happening outside of us.